Since the dawn of, well, recent time, people ask, who was the first VTuber? And while I hate to say that answer gets very complicated the more you look into it, let alone having to answer what counts as a VTuber only makes it more complicated. But even with all the recent videos discussing the topic, and the fact that a lot of these discussions go back to old segments with cartoon characters, and weirdly enough, Donkey Kong, it reminded me that Cartoon Network had something kind of like it, hosted by the Johnny Bravo. That's right, and it all happened in the olden year of 2000. But before we could talk about that, maybe we need a bit of change of scenery. You know, this place is a lot more spacious than I thought it'd be. I'm so glad we totally legally rented it out and didn't wait till that guy left to take over the place. We're not live, are we? If so, can I do the countdown? Oh. Hey there. As you can probably tell, we went all out for this topic. We even got a, well, similar setup. Well, not actually, though. I kind of just took it from this one dude who's usually here. I waited till he left and, we started filming. But that's enough of that. Let's get straight into JBVO. So, Cartoon Network, what can I say that hasn't already been said? It's a pillar of modern cartoons today, being one of the big three, up there with Nickelodeon and Disney Channel. But the channel wasn't like how it's always been in the year 2000. I mean, just look at the current schedule. Okay, so it's actually not too bad. It was Gumball and regular show reruns, at least at the time of writing this. And they say there's nothing good on TV anymore. Cartoon Network in the year 2000 had a very different structure, with a lot of the cartoons being only 11 minutes long. And at the time, they made a whole block for that. They even had a name for these 11-minute long cartoons, known as Cartoon Cartoons. And that block that they made was known as JBVO, and, well, technically WVBO, but that one's not as important. It was so not important, it was just the title of the pilot. But what is JBVO? Well, it's a segment hosted by Johnny Bravo on Cartoon Network where viewers could request 11-minute cartoons to be played during the block, whether it was sending in letters or going to Cartoon Network's website at the time and requesting it there. Usually Johnny would get a letter and he'd read it off, then he would call in to the kid who sent in the letter and have a bit of banter with them, a little back and forth. Most of the time though, the kids sounded bored and unamused. I mean, just look at these.
Hello?
Hey there, Blake. It's Johnny Bravo. You still up?
Yeah?
All right. Before we get to your request, I want to ask you, would you like to get a later bedtime?
What?
Would you like to get a later bedtime?
No.
But that was the thing. Even if they weren't really all that amused to see Johnny, most of the time they at least knew what cartoons they wanted. But occasionally, we get a kid here or there who just didn't really know what the cartoon was called and had to describe it, which led to some very funny but awkward moments with Johnny.
Particular Sylvester cartoon you're looking for?
Yes, the Sylvester with Sylvester Jr. chasing the kangaroo that they 1 minute think it's a mouse and the next minute it's a kangaroo.
Sounds good to me, little mama. Here's Pop 'em Pop for Alicia of Anderson, South Carolina on JBVO.
I will say, thankfully though, in later episodes, this got a lot better. The kids were way more excited to talk to Johnny Bravo, and they at least more or less knew what they wanted to watch, even if sometimes it wasn't exactly what would be able to be played. Oh, what's that? A caller? I mean, I guess we can see what they want.
Hello, kid, your friend Cooler. I would just like to ask if you could show the episode of JBVO talking about Dragon Ball. Hello? You hung up on me.
You know, how about we talk about that segment later? Instead, I'll be discussing how the show's format changed a little bit, what they did to shake things up in later episodes. You see, in later episodes of the show, the format slightly changes to include a guest character, in which Johnny Bravo will bring on a guest from another show like Scooby-Doo or maybe a few others like Dexter's from Dexter's Laboratory. And these guests don't really shake anything up, they just kind of interact with them, he'll talk to them, and they'll be like, I'm here too! You'll be like, I know you are. So they didn't add too much. It'd be like in this video, if I had a guest that interrupted me mid-segment in between the footage. No? Not nothing? Nobody wants to interrupt?
You done talking? You'd better go all out right from the start. This ain't a manga. Shut that damn stuffed animal up, will ya?
I see. Thanks for the input, Mr. Bad Guy, but I think we should get back to the show.
Wonder how much I get for turning you in.
Uh-huh. There's also segments where he reads emails. In the show, Johnny Bravo will get emailed things through, the email line. And a lot of these emails were funny little messages from fans where he would give them advice. Like, some fans would be like, "Excuse me, Johnny, how can I be good with the girls?" And he'd be like, "I'm Johnny Bravo. You just gotta be like me." Which is the worst advice you could give someone, but hey, I think it works for Johnny. There was also another thing he would do on the show. A little voting segment that you could vote on after the end of every show. Usually it's something like, "Who's your favorite cartoon dog?" Or "What movie do you want to watch this weekend?" The results will be answered in the next episode, of course. But it's always a fun little thing to see. And so, in the spirit of that, I got a poll I'll be posting around the time this video comes out to get an idea of what we're going to talk about in the next episode. So our poll is, who's the best VTuber? And your options are Johnny Bravo, Donkey Kong, Gold Chip, and is that the Nostalgia Critic? He's not even you know what? Whatever. It's fine. Just vote on the community tab down there or wherever it's at. I got an email letter to read. Let's see what it says. "Dear Kit, when will you talk about the lost media aspect of JBVO?" Bridget, you're really gonna make me talk about this, aren't you? Well, that's a good question. We are gonna talk about it. I guess right now, I was gonna try to hold it off a bit more. So the reason people know JBVO nowadays is because of a lost media search. For a while, most of the series, if not all of it, was lost media. And the lost media search started when someone remembered a segment where a kid called in and requested to play Dragon Ball. But this was an issue. You see, Dragon Ball Z is a 30-minute show, and JBVO can only show 11-minute cartoons. So Johnny made a compromise, and played the episode in fast forward, narrating over it the whole time. Here's a clip of it.
Guy. Oh, yeah. Looks like bad news. Okay. Wow. They're bumming, huh? Wow. Okay. There's that floating half-body guy. Goku, flying or doing something over there. Frieza hurls some kind of fireball at him. Oh, man. This is... All right. Okay. There you go.
Thankfully, most of the series has been archived nowadays, even if none of it's on a streaming service, and mostly on YouTube. Which makes it a lot easier to access for anybody, really. I think the funniest part about that clip, though, that started this whole search, is just Johnny's narration as a whole. He just half-heartedly talks about things like he knows what's going on in the episode, even though he doesn't. And hopefully, maybe one day, a show like it will show up on the streaming services, or, maybe we'll get the full thing. Another thing I kind of wish, though, is that we get a VTuber who could do a similar thing. I think it'd be a really fun segment for a VTuber or an internet personality to do. Even though I think it could be rather difficult, since it'd have to be like a stream or something similar to a radio show, where people have to call in. And how people are nowadays, especially on the internet, you wouldn't not have people calling in to say some crazy stuff on that phone line. But that's just the nature of the internet sometimes. And well, with all this time that we have, it seems I've blown all the budget on renting this set. I'm not even really renting it, but I did blow all the budget. So I'll see you next time. Do you think I did a good job? I think I did a good job. Honestly, I always find it kind of funny how this show ends with Johnny talking over the credits segment. And don't be preposterous. I'm not doing that right now. I would never do that. Nuh-uh.